Remember how you told me about how the Peasant Railgun is no longer able to be pulled off in D&D
Allegedly.
2024?
Yeah.
That there are rules. Basically, the rule was the game is not physics. Like these things like science and physics are not to be taken literally in terms of the mechanics of the game, so that the Peasant Railgun isn't really a thing that can be pulled off. I was interested in that, and during the time that I was looking at that, I ran across an article that came from a Bill of Lost Souls that actually had 5 things you can no longer do thanks to the new Dungeon Master's Guide. Peasant Railgun was on that. I think actually Coffee Lock was also on that too. There was another one that was on here that was not an exploit that I was familiar with, and I wanted to ask you if you knew about this one. Did you know about the Ladder+Saw equals infinite gold hack?
Like a handsaw?
Yeah. So basically, this is how that worked.
Okay, hold on. I'm assuming that this turns into you using a saw to take a ladder and turn it into, like, pythons?
Yeah, basically, you get your 10-foot ladder, you cut it in half.
Pythons cost more, okay.
And then you get 2 10-foot poles, and you sharpen one end, and then you have 2 pikes, and they each sell for 20 times the price of what you paid for the ladder, basically. And then they say lather, rinse, and repeat. But the thing about it is that you can't technically do that anymore. Or there is a way to prevent it, because in similar fashion to the whole, the game rules aren't physics, also the game rules are not economies, is basically what it states. But I had not heard this one. A lot of these I had heard about, but I had not heard about this very interesting thing about just, like, buying ladders wholesale and turning them into spears, basically. Have you ever seen this before? Is this something you had heard about?
No, but I mean, it's the same side. It's like, yeah, I too can waste my time doing this by going into the woods and finding all the trees that have straight branches and chopping down all the trees I can. I'll just turn this game into me owning a wood mill at that point.
If you have, like, a knife or carving kit, couldn't I do that? Like, or nature skill? I go into the woods, I'm looking for straight branches. Cut them down. How much would a saw run you in D&D? Can't be that much.
I mean, I would 100% allow my players to do this. If they want to take their time to do it, that's fine. But I'm going to make them do a crafting check for every single one.
What if they fail the crafting check?
Well,
they poke themselves in the eye?
They might.
Yeah. They fail the epic fail.
Massive splinter.
Massive splinter.
How'd your character die?
Splinter? Oh, okay.
No. How'd your character die? Massive wound with a splinter.
Yeah.
Stabbed himself in the chest with a spear.
Self-inflicted Vlad the Impaler. Perfect. I think that it would be okay to allow these, but as long as there were consequences and there was actually cost to doing it, like time. Like, if your labor was something and you had to, like... You can't go on the epic quest right now because you're too busy making pole arms out of ladders. Hey, if stuff is time sensitive, this is gonna have a time requirement. That would be a reason to make things time sensitive, too. It's just like... You're gonna have to take a week.
I'm gonna let them do this an infinite number of times. They're gonna go, we spend a week doing this. I go, cool. Next time they go to a shop, it's entirely a spear-based economy.
Yeah.
So everyone started doing this. You have to trade with spears.
They're gonna say that these aren't economies, and you kind of go, yeah, but I could get infinite money if I just keep making these. Well, then if we're gonna treat it like an economy, then supply and demand, baby. That means that if you flooded the market with spears, the actual valuation of the spears goes down. And if you're making more demand of the ladders, the price of the ladders goes up. Because you're buying a lot of the ladders, and no one's creating more ladders. So at a certain point, it has to even itself out. If we're going to treat it like an economy, then that's something that we have to consider. You're decreasing the supply of ladders and you're increasing the supply of speed. I had not heard about this. I thought it was so fascinating that somebody thought about this, and it's like, yeah, I guess that makes sense, but also, alright, that just seems boring.
That's why I don't really exploit games often, because it's just kind of boring.
A lot of these things are fun to think about, but it does kind of detract often from the experience of actually playing the game, because you're too busy trying to figure out how to game the game, and not just play it, which D&D especially is supposed to be about actually playing the game, rather than trying to, exploit it to the end of time.
Really?
Although it's fun to think about, and it's fun to pull off something that you didn't think about doing.
Fun to watch a couple YouTubers that do exploits or just break games because they can.
Yeah.
But I don't have the patience to sit there and do the things they do to exploit their games, so I'm not gonna do that in D&D.
If you want to see any more, I'll link to the article if you want to see what the other ones were, but we had previously talked about 2 of them on the show, and now we've talked about a third, so you want to know about the other 2, feel free to go and read it, but thought that was interesting. Also, now I know why Faerun is lacking so many ladders.